Hello, my name is Frances Fox, and I'm a trained remote viewer. I am trained in interspecies communications, which does also make me a pet psychic, but it's a lot more than that. Um, I have all my psychic abilities trained, honed, watched, statistically analyzed, due to being many years in a secret program that has not been declassified yet. The US government for mind expansion, seeking human potential. So, what I'm doing here now is sharing with you as much as I can, technically, legally, not getting myself into trouble, walking on the edge of a cliff sometimes because I want to give you more. And I hope that the information will expand your lens so that you can become in your life with your decisions the way you look at things so that you can become truly multidimensional. We have a presence in several dimensions. The least important is the physical dimension. And yet, in current society today, modern society, that's what's most emphasized. Those of us that know that if you have a problem in the physical dimension, you've had a problem for a long time in the other dimensions, and you could have taken care of it more easily in the other dimensions, but you didn't know. So, let just cancer. Years ago, I don't do that anymore. But years ago, if I would see somebody that I knew and I could see it, I would say, listen, you need to do something because in 2 years, you're going to have cancer. What was I saying to that person? You have cancer in the other dimensions in your energy bodies. And it may take 2 years, but in 2 years, if you don't stop it, you're going to be diagnosed with cancer. And as years went by, people would come back to me and said, you know what, you were right. I actually have somebody who's very observant and very bright who I had told her the exact date that she would get the cancer diagnosis, like a year and a half before. And when it was all over, she emailed me and said, I was having these problems. I called the doctor, the specialist. They gave me a date, and it was the date you had said I would get the cancer diagnosis. So I went ahead and I did not keep the date. I made another appointment on another date, and we kind of have things under control. Da, 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 da. That's how you're supposed to be living. You're supposed to be working with all of you, not just what manifested on the physical dimension that you can complain about how you were so victimized by something. What you're victimized by is a lack of information. And I'm trying to share it to the best of my abilities. So, in many ways, I'm not such a great female in the sense, even though I ran and am still connected to a couture bridal salon that's 55 years old. My daughter's running it now. She runs it much better than I ever did the 30 years that I was there full time. But I don't pay enough attention to the part of being a female, what you're wearing, whatever, whatever. So today I have on another golf shirt because I don't like shopping and I love golf shirts. They have a collar and I always need something close to my neck. That's because too many men grabbed me by the neck when I was being sex trafficked. And I like the way they look. They're comfortable. You don't have to iron them. So I have a golf shirt on, but I have an excuse today for having a golf shirt on. Okay? I have an excuse because I'm gonna talk a little bit about golf and Trump, and not just because he's going to be our next president. A lot of the debate that went on after the debate on stage was the contrast in the vitality of Trump and the lack of vitality in Biden, and then in addition, of course, the mental sharpness or lack of. Trump is a Gemini, which means he's an air sign. It's a male sign. He's very male in the way he behaves. Gemini is air, lots of thought, likes to do many things at one time. They can be scattered. But Trump has done something incredible that all of us should be doing. Trump, because of his love of golf, has not let go of his contact with nature. I think that it doesn't matter how busy his schedule is, he's always fitting in golf. What does that mean? It means he's outside. He's with the elements. Health is a balance of the four elements, according to all medicines on the planet, except for modern medicine. And finally, now we're talking about how bad the quality of our excuse me, I have hiccups. The medical care is in this country, which is modern medicine. What's it based on? That you need a medical doctor? Oh, okay. Well, that makes it that really actually has turned it into a business. Med health, whether it's physical, emotional, whether it's for a country or it's a person, health is a balance of the elements. And most of us today, with modern living and people that are in politics and have executive jobs, most of us do not get enough of the elements. Today, I ran off to visit the Miami Circle. It's right at the head of where the Bay of Miami opens up into or goes into the Miami River. I had to get out there and feel the wind on my skin and look at the water and see the movement. It's very good for me. I'm a different person when I'm in contact with the elements, and I don't have enough of it because of the whole thing with the sex trafficking and it being dangerous and always being followed and the whole nine yards, which I'm not going to go into. But Trump does not have to worry as much having to do with his mental clarity, with his vitality, and with his age, because he has, probably just because of his love of golf, has stayed in contact with the elements. And it has made him a person that can stand up to everything that he's stood up to. That's not the only reason I'm aware of that. But believe me that if he did not have that connection to nature, which for him probably translates into connection to golf, he would not be able to be where he's at today. He would have been taken down. It's too many people wanting bad things for him, too many lawsuits, too much of whatever. So, what does that mean in your life? It's not an occasional vacation in the country. You should never, from here until this whole planet ends, you should not vacation in big cities because you're not getting what you need, which is stability, vitality, healing environment. And there's so many beautiful places to go, but I'm not going to make this a gushing recommendation for the elements. I'm just saying that in terms of what it is that I teach, and I know that's important, the candidate that's doing well is the candidate that has taken care of himself, having to do with remaining healthy and vital. And the other candidate obviously has not, because if not, he wouldn't be such an airhead. Now, Trump is an air sign, but he's not an airhead. Trump can handle many things at a time because he's a Gemini. His intention is obviously very, very strong, but let's continue on with another. I did a sketch, a remote view sketch of Mexico. I believe it was on the 12th of June, and I didn't share it. I think I was a little cranky with my Mexican followers in the Mantrista movement, spending too much time in psychic gossip and too much time in whatever, when I had said you really need to reduce the fire element in Mexico. Mexico was burning up. Literally, when I sketched it, it had a lot of curses, all in red, too much fire, and too much fire. Even the earth was splitting open. So I read them the riot the act the other day, and they said, yeah, you're right. But then they said, can't we work and see if we can make this hurricane not come this way? And I'm actually not supposed to do that anymore. I was told to not work with countries, or at least not openly. Um, so I said, I can't do that. I said, but there's a lot of Mexicans. Get this taken care of. And then I realized what I teach. Mexico is burning up from an excess of the fire element. Okay. Two things put out fire: water. There hasn't been enough rain. Apparently, in the last 2 days, there has been a lot. Earth, a hurricane will put out a lot of that fire. Oh yeah, but we don't want a hurricane. Well, maybe you need a hurricane. And I can tell you that throughout history, when the natural catastrophes come, it is because they're needed to help to balance the elements. So I don't know where the hurricane is. Did it already pass? I think it's in the islands. I'm not sure if it's going to make it over there. The last map I did of Florida, it says we're protected from hurricanes. And Florida, when I draw it, South Florida, not South Florida, I don't see red, which I used to see a lot of red and I used to see a lot of black magic. We worked on that a lot. Maybe it was the work we did. I have no idea. We don't apparently need hurricanes. And the last several years, the hurricanes that have come in through the coast, the West Coast, and into Central Florida, which is kind of weird, and the exact same path. That area needed purification. Are you burning up from the fire of being so angry at everything that's happening that you are going to need a purification? Do you want to take care of the balance of the elements in your life? You take care of it, or do you want something outside of you to take care of it? And that's what the issue is. Are you going to be master of your destiny, or are the elements going to take care of making sure that you're able to continue with your destiny? Pretty important. I do aura analysis. People send me a photograph and I sketch it, and I sketch if maybe they sleep with too much radiation, if they have a blow to their head when they were a child and there's a portal open and bad spirits come in, if they have black magic, if they have an ancestral curse. They talked about those in the Bible. Um, if somebody's paying too much attention to them and that attention is penetrating their aura and making them sick or feeling bad. So I remember years ago that I had several of my followers that are mainly female, and they said, I just paid for an aura analysis for my husband. Let's see what's going to come out on that. And I would sketch, and the man would be fine. And the woman would say, no, 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 no. You made a mistake. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't do a mantra. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't do anything spiritual. He doesn't do any purifications. He doesn't do anything. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not going to start sketching things that are not there. This happened several times. And the women would get upset because they were sure that because their husband didn't work on spirituality, that he had to be, in Spanish, the word is podrido, which means spoiled, like when food spoils. Finally, one day I went, there's something going on here. This is kind of weird. So I said to the woman, what does your husband do for a living? He's a gardener. I said, and how often do you get out into the garden or go out in nature? No, I don't very often because I have the kids and I have to cook and I have to do all this stuff. I said, the reason that your husband looks so good is because he's a gardener. She said, well, yeah, he looks very worked out because he works physically, but what are you talking about? I said, the reason he looks so good in the other dimensions is because his elements are balanced. He has enough contact with earth, and earth is protection. So if people do black magic on him or whatever, it's not working, it's not landing because he is healthy in the other dimensions. None of the women that I said that to enjoyed hearing that, but I would like to think that maybe it would help them when they decide to go on a vacation with their family or when they have a couple of hours in the afternoon to understand that maybe they should just get their kids and go outside with them into the park and not just watch them from inside from the window. So that was like an incredible realization for me that you don't really have to work that hard if you kind of live okay, if you kind of live naturally. And going back to Trump, in that sense, he lives naturally. He eats McDonald's. He should be dead. I had a member of my family years ago when she was young. All she ate was McDonald's. She got sick as a dog. She got a heart condition. She had to be hospitalized. And the conclusion was what she was eating. She never went outside. And Trump is eating McDonald's and all the rest of the stuff that he eats, but he has contact with the earth element. And in the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic, the line that says, "Deliver us from evil," does not say that in the original Lord's Prayer in Aramaic. It says, "Help us to be in the present," which means not disassociated, which means the earth element. Because the earth element on the physical dimension is what has you be in the present. So the whole issue of contact with nature is so important, even in terms of politics. I'm going to sneeze. in in Europe, hundreds of years ago, when somebody got sick, they would send him to a sanatorium. The treatment was that every day the person would be wheeled out and sat outside. That was the treatment. Being outdoors. Okay. Can we get back there? Can all of you get yourself a nice table? Not a nice table, a crappy table that you put a plastic cloth over and have it outside, and then have dinner as often as you can outside, or breakfast or lunch, and get whatever it is that you need to make your outdoors more interesting. And don't go on any sophisticated cosmopolitan vacations. Go to nature, because that is going to help your bank account and it's going to help your aging process. I was just today thinking, I have to get out of this closet that I'm living in. I have to get out from under these mafia people. Maybe I'll invite them to lunch outside, or maybe whatever. This is not good for me. I need. I used to take an hour nap every day outside under my tree on a round hammock. It was fabulous. And actually, for a year, I used to sleep on a hammock, which is very good for you, but I had to sleep on the hammock inside. I tried a couple of times outside, and I was too afraid. I did not feel protected enough. But you need to get creative. It will make a huge, huge, huge difference for you. Huge. The lack of knowledge about what makes humans, what keeps us healthy, including our work teams, our countries, that lack of knowledge it's a problem. It's a huge problem. And I have to say, it's got to be a conspiracy. It's too big. That information is out there. It's been there forever, since the beginning of time. How did we get this place? How did we get here that we don't know that? That our doctors, how did we get here? I remember years ago a friend of mine saying to me, I'm taking a couple of courses, medical doctor. I'm taking a couple of courses on nutrition. It's really interesting. You really should try vitamin whatever. And I asked, and in medical school years ago, you would take like medical school, several years, like one course on nutrition. And yet they're only taking care of your physical body. How can that possibly be? How did that happen? Okay. And then I guess you have to add to that the lack of respect for older people, because older people have knowledge that they have acquired. And if they were in societies that respected older people, it's not just their knowledge, it's the knowledge from their mothers and their grandmothers and their great grandmothers, and it's passed down. And then you pass it down to your children and your grandchildren. But there's no respect for older people. And all that information is superstitious. That's people that are not educated. People that, where's the science on that? Please don't tell me where's the science on that. I have a degree in political science. Where's the science in that? So I'm not trying to join everybody that is beating up on the way we live today. I've been saying this forever. But I'm here giving you the information I'm beating up on and wondering how we could have gotten so off track, but I'm also giving you information. And the subtitle for this chat is Behind the Scenes. Well, behind the scenes for you is the other dimensional parts of you. I was going to say I'm going to do something right now, but I'm not going to do it because I think the people that follow me that are kind of like, can call me later on to get upset will not really like it. So I'm not going to do it. But yeah, I'm tempted. Okay. So when we have these chats, which convert into podcasts, which is a little bit complicated because on the podcast, you have to go to the YouTube to be able to see what it is that I sketched, but I'm not going to stop sketching. This is what you look like as a collective, what we look like as a collective today. So the mind strings are reaching up and out in a good way. The lower ones are parallel to the ground and the higher ones are reaching up. This is good. What the heck is that fat torso? Never sketched that ever. In all these years that I've been doing this since I was a little kid, never sketched that. Yesterday, I could see that inside of me, there was this big gold ball. And it was like my physical body was going to go away. And I was just going to be this gold ball, which I think is this fat torso that looks like a ball. So between yesterday and today, something happened. I think something's happening every day having to do with end times and the process of ascension, which is very nicely correlated to the Schumann resonance. I looked at it this morning, and it looked really exciting and interesting and clearing and uplifting, etc. I'm not sure what it is that this sketch, which I'm holding up, means, but I suspect it's very good because when I saw it in myself yesterday, and I didn't take the time to go into it, it's just there's a lot of other dimensions, too many things going on, even on the physical dimension. A lot of times I'm going to get back to something and I don't, and I should have gotten back to that, but I didn't think it was going to come up today. So we have interesting things happening, but we haven't been able to get to back to where your third eye is completely one big eye. So let's go ahead and do the mantra. I'm looking at something right now. Yes, Elizabeth, I did get it. Thank you. So let's go ahead and do the mantra having to do with the third eye. What is the third eye? It's an energy center called the chakra, and it is in the center of your forehead. And scientists found maybe 20 years ago that humans actually have cells in the middle of their forehead that are cells from the eyes. And they said, well, maybe humans used to have a third eye. Oh, well. So all those superstitious, stupid people that built pyramids, what's on their walls is accurate. This lack of respect for what we don't know, this is going to haunt us. So we're going to do that mantra, and I'm going to put the music on for the third eye that has pyramids in it. And I will sketch you again and find out what it is that's going on. The third eye, I actually asked my granddaughter to sketch, to do some new sketches of the third eye, because most people are afraid of the third eye. When they see that third eye that's on the dollar bill, they're like, wait a second, conspiracy. The conspiracy was for you guys to be blind to the other dimensions. That's the conspiracy. The conspiracy is not what's in the other dimensions. It's what was done to you. Many years ago, I was invited to a morning show in Telemundo, and it was for the Day of the Dead. And there was another person invited, and he was from Mexico. And in Mexico, they have, when the Day of the Dead, they put out a feast for the spirits. And from what I can see, it's mainly sugar. They make all sorts of treats that are pure sugar, not like a pastry. Maybe they do that too, but pure sugar. And I was enthralled, and everything that they had there and everything that they talked about that they deal with in Mexico, the Day of the Dead, for the spirits from the spirit world, was totally accurate information. This is the kind of thing that you say on English television in the United States, and you're like Looney Tunes. Sugar is food for spirits, not the good spirits. Jesus Christ would not be eating sugar. The angels would not be eating sugar, but the bad spirits eat sugar. Why? When you go to those places, from Asia, and they have a bowl up front and they have candies, those are not for the guests. Those are for the spirits. You want to appease the spirits. In Buddhism, they say you want to subdue them. You subdue them with sugar. Well, we do that in this country, but we subdue our children. Then we fill our children with sugar and send them out for trick or treat on a night that apparently is very open in the other dimensions to the spirit world. So we got it all wrong. How did that happen? With a lot of help from spirits, not just evil people, and probably not even evil people, just people that didn't know and were very easily guided. So spirits like liquor, sugar, and drugs. Most people don't know about the sugar. So let's go ahead and let me find the mantra for the third eye. Let's see. And give me 1 second longer. The mantra is repeated in silence. The mantra is the purification mantra. Even though I'm afraid to see, I love and accept myself. I was interviewed a couple of weeks ago, and it came out a couple of days ago, and they were asking me about third eye and psychic abilities. And I said that for 40 years, I was not able to see, and I was a great psychic. How can that be? Well, I had so much trauma, I didn't want to remember it. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to remember, because your memories come with images. So my third eye was shut down, and yet somehow I managed to be a really good psychic. But when your third eye is shut down, it's because you're afraid to see. It's something to do with you personally and your personal history. So let's go ahead and move that energy a little bit. And we're going to do 10 minutes with the music that was composed by Mateo Cuaron, that the sounds correspond to the sounds needed to heal the third eye. Okay. We did 9.5 minutes, but it was worth it. Look at this. Okay, you have the gold ball that I saw yesterday in me. You did open up the third eye. For those that are listening to this via podcast, I'm holding up the sketch, which the link is next to the podcast, so that you can see it yourselves. The mind strings are extended, Nile green. You have the triple pyramid protection, and you're standing at the entrance of a portal, which means a shift into other dimensions. This is the ascension process. Underneath, I've only sketched this one other time. This is the fire the planet is on fire. We're not discussing global warming. You guys don't even know anything about the fire element. So anything that is said about global warming, let it go. There's too much fire on the planet. There's not enough water. And there's not enough earth. So the fire is burning us up. So this is the fire almost leaping up to try to reach us. The other day when I sketched this, the space weatherman, and all he does is check solar flares and how they affect the planet. He's very good and very scientific and very respected. The same day that I sketched this same thing, he was in his car and he said, "I'm trying to get to the studio or wherever I need to get out there and let you guys know what's going on," he said, "but we had like a minor solar flare. It should never have created the reaction that it's creating." Now, I didn't follow up on it. There's so much information out there, especially if you're on X, which is a fountain of information on any subject and every subject. So I think what I concluded when I made the connection between what I sketched, which is this fire on the planet reaching up, trying to reach up to us, or reaching up to us, and we're trying to get away from it, was that little bit of extra from the solar flare that he said was minor. The issue was not that the solar flare was causing the issues. The issues were what was going on inside the planet, having to do with the extra fire. So as time goes by, I'm able to make more connections between what's really going on in a way that we can understand and what it is that I sketch, which is, of course, the goal, to really be able to understand what's going on. And from there, we make better decisions. So in conclusion, you need to get yourself a picnic table. You need to reschedule your vacations to where they're outdoors. I need to get myself out of this hole in the wall that I'm living in. So that we can be like Trump. I don't know how old he is, but definitely the level of vitality is unusual, and it is not generated by his rage. Even though his rage was out of control, and I was very concerned with his extra fire, because that extra fire in a person, that level of frustration in a person, which is fire, will cause strokes and cancer and all sorts of things. We appear to be safe that way, in the sense that many of us hope that he represents us in the near future. We need for him or for whoever represents us to be healthy. So get yourself out there into nature. You're going to augment your spirituality, and it is also going to help you in terms of your ability to see in the other dimensions, your third eye. So no more waiting. Get yourself, even if it's a junky picnic table for outdoors, get it. Invite your neighbors over. And I'm going to end this particular podcast by saying I was raised under very unusual circumstances, so I can't get together with the people, the kids that I went to school with, none of that. So for many years, I would get together, my husband and I, with couples that were friends of ours. And I always remembered that when we would sit down at a dinner table and talk, and then everybody had a glass of wine and everybody was telling stories, I could tell that the stories that they were telling about their childhood, when they would go to the country with their cousins, or their families went to the countryside on vacation, or they went to the beach. Those were the most important memories that they had. The pleasure that I could see in these adults talking about those particular times on the farm, on the beach, were special. And I realized it was because of the contact with nature. They never talked, they could say, when I was 14, when I was 7, we went to Paris, and that would be it. They went to Paris. That's it. But if it was in a natural setting, there was a softness and a quality to those memories that was striking. So try and create those memories with your children. In the moment, you won't realize it, but it's not just incredible memories, it's incredible for their physical health. Makes your life easier. So we'll be back here tomorrow.